everyone, and welcome to episode 46 of Lost in Translation Mon. This is another re-recording as my computer and Audition crashed during our last recording, during I Will Show You DigiWorld. So I guess we no longer have genuine reactions to me showing Jay alternate evolutions to the original partners. So I will try to think of something else to show him. So yeah, this is take 2 of the recording, and funnily enough, when we were recording in Audacity would always recover all my stuff, and that's a free software, and funnily enough, the software that I have actually paid for gave me a 1 gigabyte, 50-minute long empty track of just silence. So yeah, we're re-recording. We hadn't quite gotten up into the episodes yet, and we hadn't started Rumble Arena yet, so we're going to be recording this in bits because we're scared of my computer doing it again. So we'll be recording in segments that I will put together. But so yeah, we're just letting you know that Postmon Pat will probably not be as good as it was the first time because we've already answered in previousness, which will never be heard by anybody.
So this is round 2 again.
Last week it was fine though. Episode 45 we only need to do once. That was amazing.
Yay.
I liked only doing things once.
God.
So yeah,
I'm going to die.
And we haven't had dinner yet. So as always, I'm May.
And I'm sad.
And this week we watched The Mysterious Ruins, Holy Stone.
Or If I Only Had a Heart.
And Today Miyako is in Kyoto.
And A Chance Encounter.
And we'll see what you said in Obnoxious Synopsis.
Again.
Which we only have to record once. So that's good enough.
Benefits of not being the end of the show.
The first episode that we're watching this week is called If I Only Had a Heart, or The Mysterious Ruins, Holy Stone. What do you think will happen in this episode?
Okay, hold on a moment. A Holy Stone, if I only had a heart. Who wouldn't have a heart? I would say this is probably going to be not necessarily following, but there's going to have something to do with Black Metal Greymon.
You mean Black Wall Greymon? Yep.
Yeah, I'm assuming there's some stuff in here about him being concerned that he's not entirely real and trying to, I don't know, figure out what exactly he is while he's searching for the strongest fighter. And in the process, he's going to show up at some, I don't know, random holy site like the temple with the Digivice in it where Centaurmon is at.
Mm-hmm.
And the kid's going to be trying to defend it because they're stupid and don't ask questions, and it's going to fight them again and they're going to lose. That's me constructing the plot out of thin air. Hopefully, I am right, like always.
So, do you think there'll be any evolutions in this episode?
No, I don't think so. I think we have just a bit more of Sylphimon and Peldramon to go before we introduce another one.
Right.
We don't. I really don't want another whatever Hawkmon evolution, X-Vmon, and what's it called, Dinosaurmon. I don't like the 3 episodes in a row, just all evolutions, because it feels like they're trying to get it out of the way, and I don't feel like that's what.
We haven't had 3 episodes in a row that were evolutions.
I thought that's what those were. X-Vmon and
What do you mean?
Hawkmon's evolution and Armadillomon's evolution. They were all in a row, weren't they?
Yeah, but the Jogras ones haven't been.
But that's what I'm saying.
Oh, okay, right. Yep,
is that I don't want them all to be in a row.
Yep.
I would prefer them to be spaced apart because there's story elements that put them together.
Right, good point. Do you think it'll be a good episode?
I'm a little bit afraid that what's going to happen is that because to be fair, Black Wall Greymon isn't actually a bad guy. He was directed to fight them initially by bad people, but he hasn't expressed anything particularly evil besides that he likes fighting, he wants to be the best, which isn't necessarily evil. He doesn't have to kill anybody to accomplish that. He just needs to best the strongest person out there.
Mm-hmm.
He might end up being evil, but I'm a little bit concerned that as a result, it's going to be a situation where if the kids just talked to him, it would perfectly resolve everything, and instead they're going to end up fighting. So I think it's going to be frustrating.
And what do you think you'll rate it?
I don't know, 7?
Right,
maybe?
so you have pretty high hopes then.
Yeah, even if it's frustrating, it could still be entertaining. And the discussion of a Holy Stone tells me that we're going to get some like digital world background stuff, which is always interesting.
Right. Anything else to say about that episode?
I laid out the whole plot of the episode. I don't have much else to say.
The second episode that we're watching this week is called A Chance Encounter, or Today Miyako is in Kyoto.
So this is your, what's we call it, Pumpmon and Gotsumon comedy episode, I'm guessing. That said, it kind of also implies that Digimon end up in the real world. So my best guess on that, because they can pass as people, is that we're going to have some weird comedy episode of Miyako in Kyoto and what's we call Arukenimon and Mummymon are just kind of around, like they're being sneaky, but all of a sudden like they're avoiding being seen. They're going to be
Yep.
like hiding behind buildings and like trying to dodge the Digidestined, who is just walking around and having a good time. That's what I kind of hope it'll be. There's a scene from a movie that's a lot like that, where there's all these people. I think it's in like an old like a kung fu movie from like mid 2000s,
Hmm.
and there's all these different people, like the protagonist, the antagonist, and they've all snuck into this apartment, like to steal various things or to do various things, um, and none of them know that they're all there. So everyone's hiding from everyone, and they're all sneaking around and like slightly bumping into people. And I think that's kind of what's going to happen, and I hope so because that's a fun premise for a comedy episode.
And so you think it'll be focused on Miyako, or do you think that's just the English, the Japanese title making a pun?
I think it's fair to say it should be focused on her, what with her name in there. It would be definitely a stretch for me to say, oh, I know her name's in the title, but there's nothing about her in the episode.
Do you think it'll be a good episode?
For whatever reason, I'm gonna go with yes. As much as I dislike Miyako in a general sense, I'm actually gonna give this one just a little bit of faith because I think it might be able to do comedy well because these villains are actually good comedy like foils,
Yep.
and I haven't got sick of them yet.
Right.
So yeah, I think it'll be good. I'm hoping it'll be an 8. Now that's obviously very optimistic,
Hmm.
but we're going with it.
Do you think this episode might make you like Miyako a bit more?
I'm really hoping that's what happens because I really dislike her enough that like something pretty big needs to happen that makes her tolerable. And every time, and I thought that was the way she's dealing with the computer and stuff, but just
Yep.
it's not quite good enough. I don't know. Like she ended up being terrible again later.
All right. So I guess we'll just have to find out then.
I think we will. On to the show.
For Diginews this week, I forgot to mention this last week because I didn't write it down. Digimon World's next order was released on March 17th in Japan for the Vita.
Was the previous order 65? Sorry, because that would make this order 66, and then all the Jedi would die.
You're confusing in your references.
If people watch Star Wars, that really obscure movie, they'd get it.
Yeah, that's so obscure. No one knows what Star Wars is, Jay.
I know you're too busy with your really popular Digimon. That's way better than Star Wars.
So hopefully we get a release of this in English because of how well Cybersleuth did. Hopefully, yes, because I would like to play this game. And thanks to Wu Qinglong, who has been playing this on his stream, which of course we will plug at the end of the show and link in the show notes. And yes, so they pointed out that we forgot to mention this. Digimon Lynx was also released in Japan for smartphone on March 24th. And at least on iPhone you can get it from, like, without being in Japan by just having a Japanese iTunes account. I haven't downloaded it yet, but I think I might purely to help me learn Japanese, maybe. For Postmon Pat this week, we have Metal Marmimon on Patreon asking Jay if he's ever played a Digimon World 1 game.
What does that mean?
Like, it's but the sort of game where you get a Digimon and you raise it and you go through the story, but also your Digimon dies and lives, and
No, I wouldn't want that.
it poops a lot.
Yeah, that doesn't sound like my kind of thing.
So maybe, unless we have to re-record this another time, I hope that we can do our first Let's Play video, which will be like the first bit of Digimon World 1 on the PlayStation 1. So, yeah. Speaking of which, I also want to do a rules video for the Digimon board game video before we release our playthrough of the Digimon board game. And no promises, but this is a long weekend, so maybe I'll have time to scan my fanfic that I wrote as a child, record some Let's Play content, and record and upload board game video But again, no promises if, a disaster happens, I will be doing the disaster and not this because,
We're pretty used to disaster now.
Yeah, this is just like disaster recovery, which is crawl into a ball, cry, and then do it again. On Gmail, we have John Summers, who likes how we compared Arukenimon and Mummymon to Edamon, as Edamon was silly and not stupid, and he was always a threat who never put his eggs all in one basket, and the only time he did put all his eggs in one basket, it was not his choice. He didn't want to become the Dark Network. Meanwhile, Arukenimon did not need to make Blackwall Greymon, since 100 towers could make 10 perfects that she could have controlled. But honestly, I don't think that Arukenimon would have thought about, whether or not I can control this. So
there's no evidence that she wouldn't have been able to control. They didn't even know they could make one that powerful to begin with. I
somewhat disagree with John here, because she thought that, she was putting all her eggs in one basket, but...
No, she wasn't. Actually, I just realised she's not doing that. There's tons more Dark Towers.
Yeah, she's not using all the Dark Towers to make a Digimon, which, that would be stupid, because that's definitely putting all her eggs in one basket. But it's definitely, she didn't know that she couldn't control him. She probably thought that she could just make a really strong Digimon she could control.
If you used 10,000, would you get a Holy Beast?
Probably. You couldn't control it. It would be just the holy beast.
That'd be sweet.
John Summers then says, I do not like the Miyako and Hikari Jogress episode. Miyako loses and Hikari snaps her out, and then the same happens to Hikari. You can't have it both ways, and it seems like it was only there for drama. This episode made me give up any chance of liking Miyako. So I've always said that I like Miyako. I sympathise with a lot of what she does, and I feel like the snapping out of it was for different reasons. Like, Miyako was having a freak out about them, making fun of her and ignoring her and not listening to her when she was trying to cheer them up. And meanwhile, Hikari was freaking out because she was going back to the dark area, and which she had previously just faded completely into. What do you think?
I think that you have to understand that's not the same thing. We're looking at an episode called Opposites Attract, so you have to see that they're complementary. They're not... It's not like they're having their cake and eating too. Oh, this person freaked out, then this person freaked out. I guess it's a point of comparison of what makes in these two individuals panic is very different. It was an episode that was fine for Miyako. She was really annoying, but that's who she is.
Yeah, and she's also 12.
I guess we complained a lot in our first recording that all this character development is great, but the reason it's not good is because it's at episode 30.
And we should have had this character development much earlier on.
Pretty much, it's gross that, it's really hard to say stuff.
In reference to the recording that only 2 people in the world know happened.
Yeah, so we already did talk about this, so I'm
great
trying to
detail.
Say it again. But in season 1 Adventure, Mimi is trash from episode 1. You basically know her whole personality, and you kind of get her deal from the beginning. And then it's peppered around, like, in the next couple episodes, she'll just complain about her feet, or she'll do other stuff, and she'll be whiny.
No,
and you'll pick it up, and then she gets better, and she slowly becomes... much more competent and much braver, and you just see it go, and it's great. And you
at least get promised that she, in episode 2, where she says, oh, I actually have all this camping stuff.
Not in English, though.
Yeah, in English she's like, I've got this thingy and this thingy, but in the original she's like, oh no, I've got all this stuff, and she knows the names of everything. She's like, oh, this is a compass, and this is, for water, these are our, rations. So
the rations were brought by Joe.
Oh yeah, but she's got all this camping survival stuff.
She stole from her dad.
Yeah, but she stole from her, I think that wasn't in the dub.
Both, I think.
I think she was like, oh yeah, my dad took me out camping shopping.
I feel like it was...
Yeah.
I feel like they were both stolen. Yeah. I don't know.
But it was still like, it was a promise of, in the first episode she's screaming and that's about it. In the second episode she's like, oh, maybe she has promise, but the dub just killed it. Anyway, SP also sent us an email. And they say, do you think Arukenimon ever has a Digimon in mind where she creates the towers?
And we theorized A, no, they're just completely random, or because there's never been a Digimon that's been relevant to the scenario. Yeah. She's never tailor-made a Digimon being like, okay, this will be good here. All of them would have been good in any situation.
Yeah.
And B, it might have some reference to do with like the area they're in.
Yeah, or the time you create them, because clearly she made the same Mummon at the same time. So maybe if you create the same Digimon at the exact same time, it'd be the same Digimon. SP then says that they related to Miyako when she got stuck in the dark area. Ken and Hikari aren't social, and it'd be hard for someone like Miyako to endure the silence. So I personally think that she's also trying to jolly Ken and Hikari out of like their stupor that they seem to be in. Like they're just sort of being very quiet and stressed out, and she's like, "Oh no, let's be optimistic." You know, she's trying to make them feel better.
At that time, I feel like they were just being more thoughtful, because when she runs away, they seem to like react like, "Oh, like just normal people."
Yeah.
So I don't think they were in a stupor. I think that at least it always seemed to me that she was trying to make it loud because that's what makes her comfortable. So it was much more that she couldn't handle the silence than she was doing it for their benefit because they didn't need it.
Yep. SP then says, I think Hiyori deep down has already forgiven Ken, but he's too stubborn to admit it and wants Ken to make the first step of being friends. And I said this in the previous recording, which guess what? We're going to have another episode of... Well, what I said in the previous version was... I guess but at this time it's not the whole thing. It's only for the first, few segments. We didn't even start covering the episodes. Anyway, so I previously had said, like, how early when we started 02, I was like, why did I hate Iori? Maybe it was just the dub that tainted my, my perception of him. But 100% it's just this story arc about how, like, he's stubborn and he only sees the world as good or evil. And if you're evil, you can't become good. And if you're good, you can't become evil. So it's like, he doesn't see that there's any blurring of the lines. There's either being bad forever or being good forever. There's no in between. There's no switching between the two.
But they don't show up in these episodes at all. Like, I don't think it's actually that big a deal. It's kind of referenced in passing. But it's clear that the group as a whole has accepted Ken quite quickly, in the scope of things, to the extent where Miyako trusts him Izzy trusts him, in fact, to take care of Poromon for a while. Which is weird. Izzy wasn't there when he turned like a good guy. This should be news to him. Yeah,
and also, Ken never did anything to Iori, so the fact that he's still salty is just why. SP then says he disagrees with me, and he thinks that Sylphimon is male because he looks like a Super Sentai or a Gachamon.
He doesn't look like a Super Sentai. He has like a visor, but he would have to be like really colourful and have like a helmet more than anything.
Yeah. And also, I don't think that what we perceive as a male Digimon and like merging with a female Digimon, I don't see why that would necessarily become male rather than not being a gender at all. Like, I mean, it is said in season 3 that Digimon don't have like a form of gender because they don't reproduce as we do. They have like, I think they probably have gender identity because they're a very, they're a feminine Digimon, they're a masculine Digimon. And then there are Digimon like, I don't know, Kunemon, who is just a worm. We don't know anything about them or Kuwagamon, or just Digimon that just are just there. We don't know what they identify as. So I just like, Sylphimon, maybe just, why can't we just have a non-binary character?
I think you are underestimating the amount of respect that Digimon have for the human concept of marriage that they've never heard of. Where if two humans get married according to a Digimon, then they take the dude's surname. It's basically become a guy.
That's awful.
That's obviously what it is.
Then SP says that Sylphimon should be weaker, as Tailmon is weaker without the Holy Ring.
I agree.
Yeah, well, I think he's agreeing with you.
But I also don't think that Tailmon should be weaker without the Holy Ring, because the Holy Ring is stupid.
Yeah.
Why is it born with it? Shouldn't you just kill Tailmon and let her regenerate one?
Over to Tumblr, we have I Don't Have a Tumblr. And they say, I always got the impression that the crest sincerity or purity didn't mean sincerity as in telling the truth, but sincerity of character, and not purity as in being pure good, but being purely yourself. Almost like a crest of integrity or genuineness.
It should be a crest of integrity.
Yeah,
we
straight up.
Before.
That is a much better name, and 100% it says more of what is on the tin. It's like, this is what it is.
Tin.
In that way, it doesn't change from sub to dub, since mostly it's the crest of being, just who you are in either language. Then they say that they read a headcanon where the Dark Ocean was the same place as connected to the Dark Cave of Despair from Adventure. I like that theory. Jonathan the Multi-Man says that they also have a theory of their own. What?
It could be bunnies.
It could, reference to Buffy. I have a theory. It could be bunnies. Anyway, what if when a Digimon turns into an egg, they aren't guaranteed to hatch, or it might take a random amount of time, as I don't remember being told a specific time frame for an egg to hatch, which would give Digimon a reason for not wanting to die.
I will give you the same answer I gave you before, but you never heard it. The answer is 2 words. Nade nade. The kids have shown that you can walk in and just rub eggs until they hatch. It takes like 30 seconds. And if their dudes die, if anything dies, they can just be like, oh, we'll just go get them. It's fine. And in fact, if it's their Digimon, as Ken showed us, that they'll just know where to find them. It's not even a guessing game at that stage. So no, death has no meaning. It never has. On With the Will, Unexpected Digi Journey joins us on our Digi Journey and says that they found this podcast a few months ago and they've become their favorite, which we very much appreciate. They really enjoyed last week's podcast episode. Opposites Attract is one of their favorite 02 episodes, and they like to see the bonding between Kari and Yoli and Kari and Ken, as I hadn't previously seen them interact. Which, again, it's episode 30. You really should have seen Kari and Yoli interact a couple times before this, but you really didn't. And Kari's one of their favorite characters. They say that they like Yoli, Cody, Kari, and TK weren't partners as we expected, and that allows for the development of additional friendships. And I'm really disappointed that we're getting one partner each kid, and then that's done. Because if you ever got trapped and you had like Ken and Iori trapped together at some stage, you can't get a cool Jogras episode out of that.
Who should be partnered together.
Yeah, it would be cool. It'd be a nice irony to it. But you can't do that because, what's his name? Davis is the main character.
Yeah. And I said in the last recording that my dream team would be, Daisuke and Takeru because of their bickering that they have. Like, they have, like, those clashing personalities. Like, Takeru thinks through things, he's more considerate, and Daisuke just blazes in. And Miyako and Hikari I'm fine with because they're, like, opposites do attract. And, like, I like that mechanic. Like, yes.
I would like it if, I know you have to be synced up to Jogras and stuff, but I'd really like it if Davis didn't like that his Digimon Jogras with TKs and would start, like, calling him the wrong name as well. So it'd be when he'd be like, yeah, T-Mon, or W-Mon, or when X-V-Mon's like, yeah, VX-Mon. And they said that it feel bad for us that we had to re-record the podcast.
Do you feel bad we had to do it again?
Well, we thanked you last time. And now it's like, well...
And I think we were like, yeah, but we're never going to do that again because we have audition. Ha 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 ha. I'm so... Yeah. Well, at least, we're just blazing through these letters so we can get to talking about the episode.
So guys, check out our Patreon.
Yeah.
For God. So WildWing64 says that they can see where Jay's coming from with Black War Greymon, that although this evil recolor trope is popular, although this evil recolor trope is popular with Japanese media, and they give the example of Wario and Shadow the Hedgehog. Specifically, Wario is not just a recolored Mario. If you recolored Mario like they do in Smash, they don't look the same. Wario is what would happen if Mario was evil, or he just lost all his nobility, essentially, was greedy. And whereas you can see in that Luigi is Mario if he's not brave, and then Waluigi is the reflection of the inversion, or the inversion of the reflection. Either way, but they're not exactly the same. If you took the problem here with War Greymon is that if you actually took the War Greymon we knew and dipped him in black paint, this is what you would get. There is no attempt. Even Shadow the Hedgehog has an attempt to make them look different. Also,
I said this in the last recording, but when I was 16, I had hair like Shadow the Hedgehog. It was because I was edgy, and it was like all spiked up and like at the back
with red tips.
It had black with red tips.
Wow.
And I was Shadow the Hedgehog.
I want to see that.
I've got photos of it. I'll show you after this.
Oh, look at it.
Haven't you seen it before? Oh, okay.
Nope. They say it's weird that they picked War Greymon since he's not a main character in 02. Although, no, I think that if you pick one of the main characters, Digimon, that would have been even weirder. Like, if it's Adventure and the Black War Greymon's walking around, then all of a sudden all the other kids are really minimized. And Tai was the main character of Adventure, but at the same time, he never felt like many steps above in the same way that Davis kind of does. Davis does feel unfairly set out above everyone else. Not only does he evolve first every time, but he also has got like the golden Digi-Egg and a couple extra privileges for no reason.
So I feel like we're recording this podcast on like 1.5 times speed because we're both talking very quickly.
That's okay. We need to get through this.
Yeah.
I've read these letters before.
You basically read them off by heart.
No, I can't do that.
Maybe we have to re-record it again. We could.
Don't do this to me. It seems that it was an excuse to sell repainted toys. And, okay, so we had a really big discussion about this.
I'm still going to go into it because I think
point.
it should be said. So yeah, just continue.
Okay, then they had a black version of Agumon Warp to War Greymon, even though Black Agumon never showed up in the show. Black War Greymon did become a fan favorite, and maybe it'll grow on you. And surprise, he doesn't.
Okay, so
he shouldn't.
I won't go into this with much depth because it was like 15 minutes of me just crying. So first of all, the Black War Greymon Evolver never came out in Australia, and I really, 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 really want it, but I don't want to spend $400 on it. So there's my sadness there. So I'm not going to cry as much as I did in the last one about it. But yeah, sad. Did not come out in Australia. Think it's really cool, even though it's totally gimmicky and for the money. Anyway, and then I said something along the lines of, when I was growing up, I was like, oh no, Zero Two's fine. It's a good show. And then when I'm older, I just know how much it's just for the money, how it's just to make toys. And this is extremely obvious when you think about the Digimon D3 Digivice, which was released in Japan. So to get all the Digimentals, first of all, they expect you to either have a D-terminal or connect with different D3s of different versions. So there were 3 versions. Version 1, Vmon and Wormmon. Version 2, Hawkmon and Tailmon. Version 3, Patamon and Armadimon. And then you could get to the perfect levels, which required the same version, but another one of it. So you needed 2 version 1, 2 version 2, 2 version 3s to get to perfect, right? And to get to ultimate level, they wanted you to have the Wonder games, which you might have. But to get to ultimate, you also had to get to perfect. So you had to have everything to get it. And that's just totally really disgusting. Like the idea that you either have to have friends, which you might not, and they have to have the exact same version. Not even it's almost fair enough if you have different versions to connect, because they do different things. But you had to have the same version, so you had to have the exact same thing. It's just, why would you buy the same thing twice? Different versions is fair enough because you've got different Digimon, but the exact same thing? Why? Then, with all the Digimentals, to get them all, if easily, it's from the D-terminal because you can just merge the Digimon that you have in your Zukan and put them in, make Digimentals. But to get those characters in your Zukan, you either play the games over and over again that are built in the D-terminal, or you have to connect to the WonderSwan games or to the Digimon V-Pets to, analyze them. So that's just gross. And of course, there's also the transforming toys for each Digimental with the partner. Then from just had the adult ones who are just, plushies and the usual talking toys and the usual just figurines. Then you have to have the transforming toys to adults and the adults figurines and the adults plushies. Then, you have the perfect transforming toys and just makes money.
So, and I mean, at the same time, you can really see in the money-making scheme that if you look at the comparison of Adventure, really felt like the vision of one guy, of one person with a crazy vision of the digital world and his kids and their partners. And you could see their character development and the way they bounced off each other and this whole thing. Whereas 2 is a lot more okay, there's less kids, let's focus more on the Digimon, let's give them more evolutions. Some of them can have 2 evolutions because we need more toys, let's go. Okay, we've gone through all the armor levels, let's get the regular ones out there. Now we've got the regular ones out there, let's make them fuse. And there's just so much stuff. And so much of it is unnecessary. And it doesn't, the plot makes it seem that way, but they've so much focus has been moved on to, there's this cool kind of evolution now, rather than the characters actually developing in any way. The coolest stuff that happened was around, the Digimon Emperor, and that was probably the most character development we've seen, I would guess, is Ken. Mm-hmm. But even then, his is kind of confusing and mystical, and we haven't really got there. They also say that they agree with my assessment that Wargreymon looks cool on his own, but doesn't make too much sense as an evolution for Metal Greymon. As a kid, that used to bug them as well, and they made a drawing of their own megaform called Giga Metal Greymon, which looks really cool. It looks like, there's this thing from Marvel called the Techno-Organic Virus, which is what Cable has, which is why he has a metal arm and a metal eye. And it looks like what's happening with Greymon is that he has that, and that's why he's got he's got his metal arm and his metal boob and his metal face, and it's kind of spread to the rest of him.
Wow, jeez.
Yep.
So we'll be linking the Giga Metal Greymon in the show notes, assuming that's okay with Wild Wing 64. But yeah, it's a really good drawing, and it reminds me kind of it's got Shine Greymon's wings kind of, and I really like that. They fit Metal Greymon really well, and it's got it's still got them. I really like it. It's really well done. So well done. Good fan art. Good artist.
Thank you. Well, it's not fan art for us.
Yeah, but still fan art for Digimon.
Yeah, but it's not for us. It's inferior.
We are Digimon.
No, I'm not. So we got one from Chuckmon, who says that their impression of Miyako with the distortion with Hikari and Ken is that Miyako was trying to lighten the mood, and we've already kind of discussed this. That Miyako is very in the now, and she's hot-headed like Davis is. But I don't think we disagree. But I think that she was doing it for herself because she didn't like the silence, so she's just filling it with crap, and it doesn't matter what she says. And because it's not they have times when they're both introverted, and you can imagine that in their head they're curling into a fetal position. In that situation, they were just walking, and they were fine. And then she runs past her what happened? They don't know because they weren't listening.
Yeah. Well, I think it's like she was doing it with good intentions, and she was, she has the crest of love, so she's, being sympathetic, and, she's being empathetic, and, she's trying to jolly them out of it, and she's trying to cheer them up, and she's really trying. But that's just, she's trying, I guess, in your opinion.
And they say so aside from all the slapping, they think that Miyako and Ikari grow a lot closer, and it's very endearing.
But also episode 30.
Yeah, it's really late. Yukari's issues, they always found a bit confusing because they thought between the crest of light and hope is more fragile, and light should be really easy to keep darkness away because it's kind of ever present. They think that maybe it's an issue of confidence. While they find that Takeru would be more interesting, and they wonder how he copes with his crest. And I mean, he seems to cope with it fine. I don't know. The show never seems to make him struggle with it particularly.
Except for in season 1, where we see his crest darken, which I think is really interesting as a concept. We see the corruption of a crest, and yeah, it darkens in Forget About It, where I knew you were going to say that. When Devimon convinces him to not hope and basically not put any hope into Patamon, who's Tokomon at this stage.
And they go on to say that they hate Black Wall Greymon, much like I do. And that we'll find them saying that a lot. And that all they can tell me is that I should keep watching. As much as people dislike 02, or it's their least favorite season, they'd have to say that if there's one thing they hate about 02, it's Black Wall Greymon. Even though Chimeramon is awesome, they always thought that Chimeramon was quite scary. Fexmave goes on to say Fexmave says in a different message, is still on With the Will? It's been so long since I said it.
And I was just about to say something that, like, in my opinion, 02 is my least favourite. I always thought it was my favourite because growing up it was the one that I liked the most. But actually having sat down and discussed it and analysed it, it's not as good as I thought. And the first 2 seasons are full of nostalgia. Not that great. Like, they're okay, but they're kid shows. And I just think that, and I hope that we'll both enjoy the later seasons later on. I mean, I love Digimon. But I think maybe I mainly just love the V-Pets and the games, but because the first 2 seasons, they're good episodes, but they're not I feel like later seasons are better. But yeah, sorry, go on to Fexmave.
And so Fexmave says that they've been looking forward to the first episode we're watching this week, since the start of 02, only because of the fake out, which I didn't really think was a big deal. And Digimon is not known for smartly messing with the audience's expectations. They enjoy it when it does show up. But they do it enough times where you go, it's not, they don't not know how to do it.
Yeah, like in the Skull War Greymon Greymon, that's pretty cool. Skull Greymon episode, and we think that we're about to see his true perfect form, and Braveheart starts playing and Taichi's super happy, and we see a zoom in on the crest, and then the crest darkens and all this blackness comes out of it, and then Braveheart fades out. Like, I do like those sort of fake outs. I will show you DigiWorld this week. We have 2 things I'm going to show, Jay. First of all, somebody suggested this a few weeks ago, but I couldn't find who it was when I was looking through it. But it's Rust Tyrannomon.
Oh, what now?
Rust Tyrannomon. What do you think it's going to look like?
I'm only imagining the Rust monster from D&D. I can't really think of anything beyond that. That's a techno-organic virus again. What the hell is that? Hold on, let me get right in there. Okay, it's a it's a techno-organic virus version of Tyrannomon, I guess. It's got the cannon on its back that Sneed War Greymon or whatever. Sneed War Greymon.
No, it's not Zeed Metal Gurumon.
Sneed. Everybody needs a Sneed. No, Sneed.
And the next Digimon...
it's Rusty. It's actually Rusty Ranmon. Rusty Ranamon.
Anyway, yeah, you're right, Rusty Randomon. Anyway, so the next Digimon I have in Digimon Heroes, and I saw its full it's like what it actually looks like today, because I was playing YoKai Watch, which the second episode we watched this week totally inspired me to pick up again, because I haven't played it since it was released in December. And yeah, so because I name all my yokai after Digimon, and I saw a sword one, and I was kind of like, I'm gonna call that after Sword Digimon. Can't remember any Sword Digimon. Yeah, and so I just typed in Sword Digimon or Blade Digimon, and then I found a Digimon by the name of Blade Kuwagamon.
You mean Egg Slash?
What do you think Blade Kuwagamon would look like?
It's gonna be like a Kuwagamon with 2 giant stupid katanas.
Okay, so you think it's a Kuwagamon with that holds katanas?
Yeah.
Or?
Yeah.
Okay, this is Blade Kuwagamon.
What the hell is that?
It's a knife!
That's just a knife. And what? It's just a sword.
Yep, it looks like that in the accelerator. So I guess it's like meant to have like bug appendages. Like it's got like the electricity coming out of it, and it's got like little arms. But
it looks stupid.
It's a knife. It's a knife. It's not even Kuwagamon with a knife. It's just a knife. It's an adult level. Like
it's a crappy bent knife.
You think it'd be like more than an adult, wouldn't you? Like it looks an evolution from Kuwagamon instead of just an alter of it. Mm-hmm. Its attack is Air Knifeu.
You mean Air Knifey?
Air Knifey. Knife.
Super Kuburedo.
That's cool.
I really like the romanization of Japanese. It's so weird.
Yeah, because they seem really excited, and when you hear them scream it, it's really exciting.
Super Kuburedo.
Air Knifeu. So yeah, that was the little improv. I will show you DigiWorld because we already
did it once before.
Yeah, we already did it,
and it was about different stuff.
Yeah.
This one was better.
So, yeah. Fantastic.
Rusty Ranamon.
Rusty Ranamon and Blade Kuwagamon. Rumble Arena this week, we have chosen one of Metal Marmimon's suggestions, who is one of our patrons, and you too can suggest a Rumble Arena for $5 a month. And Metal Marmimon sends us quite a few, and they're really good. So we were torn up between the two that one that is Digimon a good show, and it's kind of like, that's more of a matter of opinion. Jay doesn't think so. I think that this season isn't good.
The problem with Rumble Arena with that question is that Rumble Arena is really about us taking a hard side.
Yeah.
And in that situation, one of us would have to say, no, it's bad. And then no one wants to hear that.
Yeah.
And it's not true. So you can't really take that side.
And I don't necessarily think that Adventure are, comparatively to other Digimon seasons, good. But it's fine if you're a kid. And it is a kid's show. So we're sort of going to go that, but we decided against it. Another one that was Blackwell Greymon Cool Edition or Redundant Edgy. And it's kind of, we've only seen him for a few episodes, so we're not really sure which direction he could go in.
I know what I feel.
Yeah, but Jay knows what he feels. And I think the discussion with Agumon, which we'll go through later, was a cool addition. But one of the suggestions was just... The other one was something we agreed on, which was, should people give the sub a chance if they've only seen the dub? Which we both said yes.
Absolutely.
100%.
That's what the show's about, really.
Yeah. And then there was something that not necessarily we full on have a disagreement on, but there's something that we really want to discuss. So, and it's...
Actually, no, sorry, there was kind of the opposite of what I was expecting. If they've only seen the subtitles, should they watch the English?
Oh, I didn't read it.
Is it worth the experience,
okay.
Or is it unwatchable by comparison?
Oh, okay,
We can totally argue about that, because I'm going to say, no, you shouldn't watch it.
I don't think you should watch the dub if you've seen the sub, because the dub's more of a nostalgia thing. Anyway, so...
Oh, there's your answer.
Yeah, but I wouldn't say you should definitely watch it, but I also wouldn't say you should not watch it because it's worse by comparison. But some people prefer the dub, and if you saw the sub and liked the sub, maybe just stick with the sub. But if you wanted to experience how that some writers like to make jokes, you can watch the dub.
Yeah, if you watched the sub a long time ago and you kind of have memories of what Digimon is like, and then you watch the dub, I'm sure that'd be a really interesting experience.
Yeah, it would be what have these people done to this show? Anyway, so back to the point. Well, the one that we're going with is something that's maybe sort of an argument. Maybe we agree on this, but I just think it's something that'd be an interesting topic to discuss.
Digimon Rumble Arena!
So they say, would the show be better off if the main Digimon followed the Pokemon evolution style, which is permanent evolution? Does the temporary evolution add something to the show? So,
the important qualification is, do Jogresses exist in this world in which permanent evolutions exist?
Yeah, if you evolve to it, he goes to XVmon, and he's permanently XVmon until he gets the next evolution, which is Jogress.
Okay, and then he doesn't turn back?
No.
Ooh, that's rough.
Yeah.
I think that would be...
Ken's worry of, Wormmon disappearing is valid.
Yeah.
Wormmon technically is not there anymore. It's another Digimon.
I think that would be really interesting. I think that it would benefit the show as a second season as something different that they do it that way. And as a result, like, you get to have character moments of, like, do I want them to change? Especially with Jogress. Especially when they know what Jogresses are.
Yeah.
They would take the decision of who it's with a lot more seriously. I like... The thing about Pokemon in Evolution is that you never really get... Charizard never really talked, particularly. He had a personality, but he never really talked. And I think it would be really interesting seeing them as clearly defined characters in Evolution rather than just, like, in fighting mode and then character mode. What about you? Are you taking the opposite side?
I disagree. I think that that's what makes it different. And maybe one day we'll see a series where the evolution's permanent, and I guess originally evolution was permanent. In the V-Pets, the first versions and the Pendulum, they were permanent evolution. Like you'd go to Ultimate, then you'd die, you go back to Egg, and you'd go back.
Oh no, I'm still on the side that if you die, you will reset to Egg. But
but that is permanent. But like permanent evolution, then you go back to the start of the cycle, and it's the same in Digimon World 1, where you evolve and you can't evolve back again unless you grow old, die, become an egg. So, and I did not like that. I'm like, but what if I want my baby again? And that's why I actually took a shine to one of the V-Pets, which is called the Digimon Pendulum Cycle, which, as the name shows, it's a cycle. You, at the end of every day, and some people hate this feature, by the way, some people hate the cycles, but I actually like it because at the end of the day, you may have gone to Ultimate, you go back to Rookie.
See, to me, the thing is about Digimon is that evolution is permanent for everyone else except the kids' Digimon.
Not necessarily. Saberleomon de-evolved.
Was it just before he died?
Yeah, but he definitely de-evolved, and then he evolved again. Yes.
I don't really remember.
Yeah.
But by and large, evolution is permanent. And just like the kids, except for Leomon, who's a huge weirdo, but might have been influenced by the Digivices.
Yep.
They're a weird exception to that, and I don't think that's necessarily a good thing. I think that if you just say that they accelerated power growth, that's fine.
Does the Digivice make the Digimon weaker?
What do you mean?
Well, Digimon who don't have the Digivice, who evolve in the wild, that's permanent.
Well, no, it doesn't make you weaker, it just makes you temporarily stronger.
I know, but they can't evolve without the Digivice, but Digimon the wild can.
No, the counter-argument to that is it takes 100 years.
Though Tailmon was able to evolve to Tailmon.
That it takes 100 years for an Agumon to naturally transform, to naturally evolve, and, you know, they do it once a day, every day, over the course of, 1 year.
But they may not ever evolve back. So it's just... Yeah, Digimon the Wild, we don't really see much... Unless they're under the influence of a Digivice, they don't devolve back. And... I mean, maybe it could be interesting to have a season where it's permanent evolution. I think it would... Unless... I would like to see a season where it has different Digivolution paths. Like it says, alright, this time evolve into Metal Greymon. No, this time evolve into Skull Greymon.
That was called Armor Evolutions. It wasn't that interesting.
Oh, okay, good point. You have me there.
Yeah, I think the permanent evolutions would be cool. I think that, like, you could have had a character get that second Digi-Egg and say, no, I'm not changing it. The one I have is too good. And then, like, there's a really stressful situation. They go, okay, I'm risking it and going for it.
Yeah.
Because there's pathos to it. There's actually reason to get invested because you have to make a decision and you can't change it back. And then you can experiment with that later. But
unless you kill your Digimon.
But I think that I would like to see... Because Hawkmon has a very defined personality, right?
Yeah.
But, like, whatever it turns into, I don't remember what it's called. Aquilomon doesn't. It's got nothing. It's just a beast. And it doesn't... It says a couple lines like, let's go. Because the big Digimon only ever show up in fights.
And we don't get to see how they're changed.
I mean, sometimes they're building stuff that's broken. And those are actually pretty interesting. Like when Digimon is going, and he's like, yeah, I'm doing some digging, and he's just vibrating Cody to death. That was fun. And I think that that's fine. You just have them have bigger dudes. Because, you know what? It's not like they're ever fighting in their smaller forms and winning, right? There's a thing in this episode where Hawkmon attacks somebody who's clearly a higher level than it, and just pointless. And you go, why did you even bother? And in fact, then they go into Armor Evolution, and you go, but you have regular evolution, why would you bother? And the problem with the show, with lots of different levels of evolution, and I mentioned this in Adventure as well, you always should just evolve to the top one that you can. Just go straight for the most powerful.
See, I disagree with that, because if you don't need to go the most powerful, like maybe you're only fighting an adult, maybe you don't need to have to go to Ultimate.
But just do it.
But I know, but you just use up a lot of energy.
It's just
that.
food.
But yeah, but what if another one comes out immediately?
Yeah,
Like,
but if
no,
it's permanent,
But later on, yeah, good point.
then
But,
you don't have these weird questions running around.
but if it's also permanent, that also adds a lot of challenges that I guess we would have to see about how do they handle them when they go to the real world. They can't just have them in their bag at school.
Yeah, you'd have actually a better version of that scene from the first Transformers movie, where these giant monsters are walking around someone's house and like stomping through gardens and stuff. That would be cool.
But I just think one of the things that really stands out from Pokemon and stops people from saying, but Digimon's just a Pokemon ripoff, is the fact that they devolve. And then, they can evolve on command, and they don't just evolve once at a certain point and never devolve back. And then they only evolve forward. It really just stands out as a true difference from Pokemon and Digimon, and I think it's a strong enough difference that it makes Digimon thrive on its own. Otherwise, it would just be too much like Pokemon.
I just think you could do it for one season. I think this season especially, because there's so many options you run through that I don't know, it gets confusing. You have 4 different evolution paths you can take in a fight, pretty much. Whereas it used to be a linear progression. Now there are 2 branches, of which one branch has 2 branches.
I know something I'd like to see. I would like to see, it's sort of permanent, but after, a few days it goes back to an egg, and you have to raise it back up again. Because that would also add to the extra challenges of, oh no, my Digimon's only a rookie and can't evolve further for another day.
I don't know how that would work. It just sounds like a free-to-play energy meter.
Oh no, don't do this to me.
Okay.
And then it dies, and then it becomes an egg again after too many battles or whatever.
I think we've quite played this one out.
So, who do you think won? And we would like to hear your opinions on should evolution be permanent in Digimon? Should it be like Pokemon, or should it just stay as is, like in the great pendulum cycles?
Who won? Who's next?
We're not doing an epic rap battle. I cannot rap.
Neither can I. We're both very white.
So, if you want to send a Rumble Arena, that would be pretty cool, but you have to be a $5 per month Patreon. And if you want to send us any messages, you can. You can send us an email at LostinTranslationmon@gmail.com. We're TranslationMon on Twitter. You can find us on LostinTranslationMon on Tumblr and Facebook. We have a discussion thread on With the Will. We will have a Reddit thread on the Digimon subreddit. Reddit? Sudreddit. I cannot talk. I cannot say subreddit. I can't say subreddit. Subreddit. All right. There will be a Digimon subreddit, and we will have a thread on it, and that'll be linked in the description of this SoundCloud or iTunes thing, whichever you're listening it on. You can comment on this episode on SoundCloud. You can message us on SoundCloud. And you can review us on iTunes or Stitcher, and we'll read it out, and you'll make me happy, and that'd be cool. Blackwall Greymon is still looking for somebody that he can fight, and in the dub, he's talking so much.
It's actually really weird. He's making jokes.
Yeah.
And he's meant to be this tortured soul, and instead he's like, you guys didn't put up much of a fight, did you? Haha, I'm so great.
And I think it's the dub, once again, abusing the fact that we can't see his mouth move.
Absolutely.
So he's much more taunting. And also, Marmon talk as well, in the dub.
Did they? I didn't even notice.
Yeah, they say, we are Marmon, we are strong, we will beat you, roar.
In my head, it was just like... Brrr.
And, yeah, so Blackwall Greymon seems so much smugger and is taunting them, basically, instead of just saying, maybe you will be strong enough to fight me. And meanwhile, in the dub, he's saying, you won't be strong enough to fight me. This is a circus. Ha 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 ha. I'm evil.
He's meant to be kind of depressed, but he sounds, whiny and angry. I think it's almost to the point where, but, I don't like saying Blackwall Greymon all the time anyway, but especially in English, I think we need, a nickname for him.
Angstwall Greymon.
No, because it's too long.
How would you call him Angstwall Greymon?
No, it's too long. It's not the same amount of syllables. I want to shorten it down.
Oh, Black War Angstmon? No, that's the same
No,
amount.
stop. Stop trying to make it similar to his name. And
How about just Angstymon, or Angstmon, or Angsty Teenmon?
I don't know, I wanted to call him...
Negasonic Teenage Warhead. I think Angstwall Greymon's fine.
But fine. I just don't want to say it all the time.
I will say it all the time.
Just call him Angstmon.
Okay, Angstmon then.
Yeah.
Yeah. Arukenimon and Mummymon make a horde of Mammon with 200 Dark Towers. They charged him, and then Blackwall Greymon just splits through them.
And I mean, there was a moment where I'm like, why did they use 200 towers with all these dudes when they can make one big... Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because I think they've learnt their lesson, which is good, because they're not like... That'd be just stupid if they did, if, you know, they said, let's use 200 to make one guy, because clearly 100 turned out well.
That said, this is another situation where power levels are really confusing. Where, like, technically there are more Dark Towers amongst them than he has, so it doesn't make any sense how they can't beat him. In fact, he's effortlessly beating them. So perfect level to ultimate is apparently such a huge leap. He doesn't even have to move to beat them.
He just like holds his hand up and whip.
Boing whip.
I like how Arakenimon's always very emotional about like the destruction of her Dark Towers and her Digimon.
Yeah, we don't really know why yet.
I'm not sure if she actually says anything in the original when she sort of like, oh, and she passes out, but in the dub, she says, oh, pinch me. And it's just so like dramatic, attempted. It's beautiful.
She just immediately stands up like, I'm fine.
Yeah. Blackwall Greymon is asking what the emptiness that he's feeling is, and Arakenimonn says that he doesn't feel anything because he's just a puppet. In the dub, for some reason, he thinks that he's been given feelings by the control spies, and that's why he has feelings.
Yeah, and also she says that it's a scum programming, I think was the word she used.
Yeah.
Which is weird because like it makes it very clear she's very, very self-aware that they're like digital programs. He programs scum. And then...
But she's a Digimon too.
Yeah. And they're talking about souls. And I think there was a really interesting discussion where he's like, do I have a soul? And she's like, of course you don't. You're made of Dark Towers. And I think they're driving away soon afterwards. And Mummy goes, do we have souls? She goes, I don't care.
Yeah.
That's great. I really like that.
Also, in that moment where they've, like... I think they sort of removed that. Do we have souls? I don't care.
Because it's not about souls anymore.
Yeah, it's about a heart. I think it's still about a heart in the original, but it's about this. I think they used the word kokoro because it's the heart, but it's not the physical object of the heart.
But the meaning is soul, and I think the English just totally loses that
by saying it's a physical object, the heart.
No, because they say heart and they don't go any further with it. And there's a bit where... Sorry, I want to skip straight to where Agumon gets asked, where's your heart? And he goes, I don't know. But you should know. Yeah. It's a thing.
Anyway, so Mummymon is hitting on Arakenimonn instead of, saying, pondering the fact that he has souls. So the holy stones are now called destiny stones because they've done this before. They just remove anything that's too religious.
That's acceptable. There's nothing wrong with that.
So Tentomon sees them, but we don't really know if he overheard what they were saying. But in the dub, it's clear that he has heard what they were saying because he wonders what a destiny stone is.
Except I don't like that in the next episode they call them holy points.
Yeah, and then they reference an American landmark, I think, the
Plymouth Rock?
Yeah,
I
think.
And also, they just call it, it's gonna break that rock.
Yep, that rock. Holy stone, destiny stone, that rock.
Yep, all equal.
We go to where Daisuke is, and his sister Jun is with him, and Jun says that she has a pimple, and I might be incorrect in thinking this, but I think there's a Japanese superstition that means when a man falls in love with you, you get a pimple.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I think that's right.
The English line here is so silly. It's like, what if Matt sees that we're on a date? Well, we're not dating, but what if?
Yeah.
Something like that.
No, it's like, but Matt sees me. He'll break up with me, even though we're not together.
Yeah, that's it.
In the original, she's actually freaking out that it could just be some creepy old man who's fallen in love with her. And that's why she has the pimple. And Daisuke is ignoring her. He's just playing his video games. He doesn't seem to care. And Davis is actively making fun of her.
Yes, he is.
And
he deserves to get punched.
Yeah. So she slaps Daisuke for basically just ignoring her. And maybe it's more fair enough that she slaps him if he's making fun of her, which he is in the dub.
There are great lines, like how it hurts Daisuke to think too much.
Yep.
And I'm like, that explains a lot. Also,
he makes some ripper of a face when he's eating.
I'm surprised they didn't say something because he's reading like a brown onigiri.
Yeah.
I'm really surprised in the English.
No, it's not onigiri. It's one of those biscuit things with seaweed on it.
Oh, is it?
It's a dried cracker.
It looks like
it's a seaweed cracker.
Okay, I really thought they would say in the English, like, I'm eating my cookie, leave me alone.
Well, technically it's a cookie.
Yeah, okay, well, I'm wrong then. It's a jelly donut.
Something I noticed is that I'm not sure if this is laziness or if it's just all apartments look the same.
It's probably laziness.
The inside of the apartment looks like, even the furniture looks just like a slightly palette swapped version of Tai Chi's apartment.
Did you know that there's connections between Davis and Tai?
Yeah,
surprise!
They both have sisters. Blackwall Greymon is looking at a flower, and then he protects the flower from a Marmon, and he's not sure why he's doing that.
Can I just say quickly that Blackwall Greymon says the line, "I'm not imagining my turmoil." Oh, we'll see you in Hot Topic tomorrow, Blackwall Greymon. Seriously.
Blackwall Grey. Oh, I know Kylo Ren's Digimon. It's Angstmon.
No, Angstmon. He's so garbage.
They go shopping to Hot Topic together.
And it does kind of appear, like the way he jumps forward, that the elephant's plan was to kill the flower. Yep. And it had nothing to do with, like, eventually he puts his whole body under it, but it looks like the elephant's determinedly trying to kill the flower.
He puts his middle fingers up to the preps.
The what?
It's a line from My Immortal. It's the only line I remember.
Oh, yeah.
The preps. People totally say that I look like Gerard Way, but the preps. I go to Hot Topic every day, and the preps stare at me, and I put my middle fingers up to them. I would like to point out that as an Australian, a prep is somebody between the ages of 5 and 6 who is in their first year of primary school.
They're very young.
Yep. So
put your middle fingers up to them right now.
Yep. So when I hear people talking about preps, I hear, the year before, grade 1 when you're in primary school and you're like 5 or 6 and you're babies and you do stuff. So I'm like, why are you putting your middle fingers up to the preps? Anyway, so Ken still has the crest of kindness. I was 90% sure it blew up.
No, apparently they just got it back.
Yeah, no, but it blew up, right?
Yes, absolutely.
He didn't grab it back. It merged into the...
Maybe it flew into his hand.
02. This crest exploded. Also, Minomon can fly.
Yeah, I thought that was really weird.
I think maybe he was hanging on a string.
No,
not a string, but he's...
Like a webby thing?
Yeah, a web, because he's a bug.
There would have been a little animation of it.
That's what
he was hovering. He was fully hovering.
Was I just want to have faith that he was just on a thread that we could see.
And I wouldn't say he can fly usually, because if he could, he wouldn't have had that scene where he's bouncing on the bed.
Okay, maybe. Also, so everyone gets an email from Kari that says, we're in the, there's some trouble. Tentomon heard of something called a Destiny Stone, and for your she ends it with FYI, for your information.
Hey Minimon, I'm getting an email from Kari. It says, sorry to bother you, but we thought you'd like to know that we found our Ukenimon. FYI, Kari. Do you know what this means?
Kari spells her name FYI.
You missed my point.
It's such a terrible joke. It's garbage.
It gave me a chuckle.
That's kind of funny.
Back to the flower and Blackwall Angstmon. Blackwall Greymon says the flower, unlike him, is alive, but he doesn't feel pain like he does.
He's talking to the flower.
He is just a walking Hot Topic.
I can't take him seriously at all. He's walking around, making jokes about the circus, talking to flowers, being not an original Digimon.
Original Digimon, actually, never mind. Angstmon says that the flower is different from him, and it's not artificial, but has feelings.
It doesn't, though.
I know, but the dub is strange. Then Blackwall Greymon throws a strop and he steps on the flower.
Unless you believe all those studies about how, plants do feel, and even when you're eating them, they still feel pain.
Yeah, but there's also studies that say that fish don't feel pain.
Yeah, but they don't, because they're stupid.
Which is why when I was vegetarian, I ate fish for 10 years.
You're pescatarian.
Yeah.
But let's be fair, even, what's his name? Wasn't Thomas Edison? Whose book did I just read? Who was that founding father?
I don't know anything about America.
What's, Benjamin Franklin. I read, his autobiography, and he talked about how...
Connor Kenway.
He was a vegetarian until he discovered that fish eat other fish. And he says, well, if they do it, I don't feel bad. They would understand. They used to other fish getting eaten. That's their deal.
Agumon comes up to Blackwall Greymon and he introduces himself. Agumon doesn't know where his soul is, and he says that a soul is when, it's really great to care about someone, and it's about the relationships you have.
So is Tai just hiding behind the rock that he's standing on?
What do you mean? Agumon's in the digital world.
I know, but wouldn't Tai have shown up to do something about this?
No.
How is Agumon perfectly coordinated to be in the right place?
Because he's just wandering around now. He just lives in the digital world. No, also, the adventure kids aren't relevant anymore, remember?
I know, but it seemed like he was coordinated to be here. He was intercepting him, and he was clearly expecting to meet him.
The only adventure kid who's still relevant is Koshiro.
Surprise.
Yeah. In the dub, Agumon says that when you care about someone more than yourself, it's called love, and that comes from the heart. Then Angstmon asks him what the purpose of a heart is, and Agumon doesn't know. But then he says, but both Digimon and humans have it. Also, Agumon's really cute because he says this situation is very complex and he doesn't know what to do, and it's just, oh, Agumon.
So, do they agree to be friends now, or do they cut back later?
No, it's cut back later.
Okay, one of the best lines.
Yeah. Blackwall Greymon doesn't understand what he can gain because he's not a living thing. Agumon says the answer is friends and that they should become friends. Then Blackwall Greymon, in the dub, says,
what if I'm not capable of being a friend? That would prove once and for all if I have a heart or not.
Of course you're capable. Everybody's capable of being someone's friend.
But what if...
What if? Always with the what ifs. What if my aunt had a mustache? She'd be my uncle.
She would? Your logic confuses me.
And then he wants to get rid of his soul, and in the dub, Angstmon is so metal he shops at Hot Topic because he wants to rip out his heart.
Because it's stopping him from being a good fighter.
Yeah. Also, the kids are fighting, by the way. Just like in the background, they're fighting.
So what's going
Nightmon.
on elsewhere is that Mummymon and Arukenimon have found the Destiny Stone, which in English Mummymon believes in, and Arukenimon does not believe in until she sees it.
Yeah.
She
So it's
thinks
like a
they're
myth thing.
And then they just stumble upon it. It was just out in the open. It was just there. And it's just basically a boulder with a holy ring around it. So they make some black ring Digimon. Make a black ring Digimon, Nightmon or something?
Yeah, Nightmon.
Which doesn't make any sense. Like, they're just as strong as that, aren't they? Why would they bother? There's no kids around. It's not like they have to put a shield in front of
Nightmon's
them.
bigger and he has a big sword to hit things.
So, it goes up and starts wailing on the stone, and it's completely ineffective, right? Mm-hmm. And then the kids show up and they start fighting it. And they do a really bad job, and there's a lot of evolutions.
And Kilomon has the best line ever. When Nightmon starts hitting him with a sword, he says, "A sword isn't made for hitting, Dogya!"
It is, though. That is exactly what a sword is for. In fact, swords are made for only one. Some are made for stabbing, actually.
And some are made for slashing, but...
Slashing is hitting.
Yeah.
It's just hitting that you go through them.
Yeah.
So, but he looks like, and everyone else is disabled because they're like wrapped up, and Kilomon is getting clonked on their head over and over again. It looks like a huge chump. So that's going on, and at some stage during the fight, I think it's Stingmon is going by.
Yes.
And a sword slash goes by and just hits the holy ring and breaks it.
Yeah.
Then we cut back to Angstmon and Agumon, Angstumon. Who they've just agreed to be friends and they're about to shake hands, and Angstmon's like, if this friendship does not make me a better fighter, I will destroy you. And I was like, well, that's a weird thing to say, but alright.
Also, I think I misplaced the line from above. It should be here, I think, maybe, where they want to be friends.
Yeah.
The funny line.
That's fine. And then, just about to shake hands, he feels like a pain in his head or something, because of the ring being broken, I guess. And he flies over to there, and he just starts busting up the stone really hard. Because, like, Arukenimon and Mummymon try, and fail, even after the ring is broken. And, yeah, just everyone backs up and gets their ass kicked by Angstmon, then he breaks the stone, which doesn't make any sense. If hurting the stone hurt him, why would he hurt the stone?
Plot. So what do you think of this episode as someone who is new to Digimon?
I liked the conversation he has with Agumon, and I hated everything else. I don't know what these holy stones are. I think they're another weird plot convenience. We haven't even figured out what the Dark Towers do. Now we're throwing in another like weird rock. It's so weird and unnecessary. I don't know. I'm starting to sort of burn out on Mummymon and Arukenimon. They're interesting, but I don't feel like they're very effective ever, because they're just Power Rangers villains who keep throwing new monsters every week. How to make my monster grow!
And what do you think of this episode as what you said about it in Obnoxious Synopsis?
So, I said there'd be some Black Wall Greymon focus about him not being real, and there's concerns about that, and that's absolutely correct. I said there'd be like a temple. That's wrong. It's just the open. And the kids fight and lose. That was correct. Digital World backstory? No, it's really vague.
It just said it's there.
They just exist. It's a myth, though. That's backstory. And they'd be afraid that the kids would be stupid and not resolve anything. That's not really fair. They tried.
It's not focused on the kids, really.
No, it's barely
It's focused on Agumon and Blackwall Greymon, which I find, personally, like, quite fascinating, because it's focusing on people who aren't, like, but they're a Digimon, and they're not they're not necessarily the partner Digimon of the main kids. And it's very different to what we've usually had.
So I gave it a 7 in my synopsis guess, and that's wrong. It's a 5.
Really?
And and 3 of those points exist because of the Angstmon discussion, and so the rest of the episode's crap. It's so boring.
I gave it a 7 just because I really do like the Agumon Blackwall Greymon stuff. Yay. And what key differences did you notice, and do you think they were justified?
Look, the biggest problem is that Angstmon is just making jokes, and he's much lighter, and just he doesn't seem as invested, and he doesn't seem as down and like justified. He seems more like a bully, I guess. And I don't know, I never really like that. And the other thing is, obviously, it's a heart, and you know what the heart is. But I understand why Agumon wouldn't know where a heart is, because he has two opportunities to look inside Digimon. One time they beat up a bear, and they saw it had fluff inside, and the second time is everyone else who's died has been pixels.
He did tear through Machinedramon, like, quite literally.
He wouldn't have had a heart, he would have had an engine.
Yeah, but still, in the original, it's focusing on, not the heart, but more as, the metaphorical heart, like the soul, your being.
Show's not clear about it.
Yeah.
They could have. They didn't have to, but they did.
Yeah.
Let's see. By and large, it's that and super jokes as always. Davis is a lot worse, and he's a lot more mean and deserves to get slapped.
As always.
And Arukenimon is much more strongly on the side that Mummymon's an idiot, and she's like, oh, well, your stupid Destiny Stones, they're probably not
also,
real.
he hits on her a lot. Instead of saying, do you think we have souls, he's like, oh Mummymon, oh Arukenimon, oh, I love you. Oh.
I want your heart.
Let's go on a date. Oh, can we go on a date after this?
Ooh, a date.
So this episode title got a bit lost in translation, Mon.
A joke we've made 8 times.
In the first recording.
We've also made it a bunch of times in this one, I think.
I don't know, but still, and Miyako kindly explains the joke to the audience, which is appreciated in the original.
And when she signs her email, did you get it?
Yep.
Did you get it?
Did you get it? So Koshiro is looking after Poromon as Miyako is on holidays. And Miyako, I'm not sure this is because laziness in the animating team of creating what new characters look like.
Probably laziness.
Miyako's friends are the exact same friends as Mimi had in season 1 when she came back from the digital world to camp, and she had her friends Michelle and Terry, who I believe are unnamed in the original.
There's no ambiguity. It is absolutely the same ones.
Yep.
They're dressed the same, they have the same hairstyles. It couldn't be anything else.
And I made a post about that, and, they look the same, which is weird because would be the age difference. Like, she's in elementary school, and they are in middle school? High school? No.
Something like that.
Middle school. Anyway, so she's enjoying her time in Kyoto and explaining
Which I can't believe they don't call Heightened Vyuto.
Yeah, Heightened Vyuto. Koshiro is explaining that Ken's D3 must be the shape that he wished for, and that the other D3s were created to match it and to, beat it. And
in the English, he phrases that really weirdly. He says, this is all your fault.
Yeah, it's much more his fault rather than, because he did have the D3 first. Like, it was first, the shape was first his rather than the other kids.
And it explains why they come in with the clothes that they have. And also, he takes so many shots at Davis.
Yeah, no one likes Davis.
And he thinks he's like a pirate biker.
Koshiro explains that the clothes changing is also similar to a subconscious desire. And then he starts to wonder who the email that Ken received, earlier was from. And instead of this, because why bother have anything that's relevant to the plot, is he starts talking about how some book called The Theory of Ultimate Brain Power, and how we high IQ types gotta stick together, and how Ken's the only Digidestin that is met that's smart as him. So thanks, Dog.
He just calls everyone an idiot. And also, they cover the fact that Poromon is getting physically tired by being away from Miyako. She's getting she's draining when she's away from her Digimon partner.
Yeah.
And because it's rare. This almost never happens.
And it's also, being in the real world is also draining. So it's the combination of both are just really mentally draining for
I thought it was
Poromon.
Being in the digital world. Sorry, being in the real world is draining, and then being with your partner stops it.
I think so, yes. Yep. So Koshiro says that there are many other chosen throughout the world, and then Ken references his adventures in 2000, sort of. The Wonder Swan adventures. He says that he doesn't remember anything from his adventures in the year 2000.
I thought it was just him saying that he got his Digimon at the year 2000.
No,
I knew there was other stuff.
Poromon's then said to be feeling bad, and I don't think it's really so much addressed. It's just that, Poromon's sad because she's away from Miyako.
It's definitely said specifically by, what's it called, Minamon as well.
Yeah.
Who's like, I get tired too. I'm away from Ken for too long.
Yeah. And we get to hear more about how Koshiro says he has the constant desire to know things, and about how in the digital world when he was trying to work out how it worked, and he was still a kid, but he's grown since then and he knows more about the digital world now. So Miyako sees a Digimon in the sky, and then we are in the digital world, and Arukenimon's mouth starts moving before she starts talking. And this is in the original.
I didn't even notice.
Oh, it's just really frustrating because
just...
it starts moving, and it's probably for about a second, and it's really uncomfortable of just her mouth moving. It's like, oh geez. I think the dub fixed it though.
I'm just so used to like anime mouth flaps, it doesn't even register.
We find out that weird distortions are happening, and it reminds me kind of the Dark Ocean episode, and also Spirited Away when they're all walking on the bridge in Kyoto. It just reminds me of Spirited Away.
But they're specifically caused by breaking
Yeah.
the rocks. That rock. Sorry.
If you smell what the rock is cooking. Anyway, wrestling jokes aside, it also reminds me of Home Away from Home, where we had sort of like the fading in Digimon who were there but weren't really there. Miyako, who is a genius, runs after them and sort of, yells, wait, wait! So I guess that's not the most intelligent thing, but I guess she's trying to make sure they don't hurt anyone, and she wants to know why they're there, but she doesn't have a Digimon, so...
Yeah, what was she able to do?
Yell at them.
Exactly. She actually says it out loud.
Slap them. I
think she says it out loud. Like, I got there. Whoa, wait, what do I do now?
In the original she does, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
I don't think she addresses it in the dub. I think she's like, alright, in the dub. Apemon shows up, who is Hanumon in the original.
Straight up a Yeti.
Yep. And is very cute and obviously confused, and then goes on a rampage because it's confused about where it is. In the dub, it doesn't seem very confused. It seems just angry.
It attacked in its confusion. It hurt itself in its confusion.
We have a very early evolution in this episode compared to what we've had the last few episodes. It's 9 minutes in and we have an evolution. Usually it's like 16.
Which evolution are you referring to?
When the kids are... No, I remember. It's because the other kids are in the digital world this time. Because Koshiro says, Ken, take Poromon into the digital world. It might make him better. And all the kids are fighting the Blackwall Greymon in the Holy Stone. Yeah, and they all evolve.
Yeah, it's just a long mess of them.
So yeah, 9 minutes in and... They're kind of shortened, so they're not full clips, but they're not like split screened either, so it's kind of like, uh-oh. Then Miyako meets Joe's brother Shu, and he's filming what seems to be a love story with two characters saying their names. In the dub, it seems to be more a mystery or horror, because instead of saying, oh, Hiroki-san, Emiru-san, they say, it's just a legend, and they say, I'm not so sure.
Wait, was Shu the one filming?
Yes.
I thought they just showed up.
No.
Because they're together.
He's filming this movie.
Why would he be? He's studying Ghosts and Goblins.
I know, but he is filming it.
Okay.
So Ken, Stingmon, and Poromon show up, and Ken says that he can't destroy the Digimon because he's a real Digimon and not a Dark Tower. And then they jump back in the lake portal, which is never explained.
Yeah, was there like a computer in the lake?
Script.
I do like that they reference the fact that they can't kill them, because at least there's continuity to it.
Yeah.
Except that I think they should kill it.
Yeah, but also, it's only confused. So we meet Sora's dad. Then Yoli says that she's from Tokyo, but isn't sure what she's doing. And I'm not sure if I'm misunderstanding it, but she seems to be... She says, I don't know why I'm here right now. Which is really weird, because she should know, because she's there because of a school trip.
Probably, like, why she followed the Digimon, why she's in a stranger's car.
Yeah. But it just comes across as, I don't know why I'm in Kyoto. So, Shu says that he used to be studying to be a doctor, but then he switched to humanities. And then he says that his older brother Jim is an intern at the hospital. In the dub, apparently they got a bit confused because they called this character Jim, and Jim said that he abandoned his dream of helping people to study ghosts and goblins, which is folklore.
I really think that I shouldn't have studied law. I should have studied ghosts and goblins.
Isn't that a game?
It is. I need a master's in ghosts and goblins.
Apparently it was a hard game, so maybe that's the thing.
It needs to be studied. Something
really cute happens, and Sora has clearly told her dad about how Miyako says bingo, because her dad says, bingo! And Miyako's kind of shocked, like, oh god, you know my catchphrase.
Never saying it again. Hopefully.
In the dub, he says bullseye, and Yoli's just weirded out because he said bullseye, I guess.
Even though it's perfecto, it should be?
Yeah, but he doesn't say perfecto, he says bullseye. Even though it fits the same mouth, he could have just said perfecto and still kept that, so I don't know why they changed that. It's a really confusing
He should have
difference.
gone with something like close but not quite, like totally perfect.
Yeah. Or perfect go.
Perfectamundo.
Yeah. Sora's dad says that Sora changed after the digital world, and prior she was always rebelling against her mother. It's more or less the same in the dub, but she went from being angry to being best... They say, oh, now she's best friends with her mum, and she's shopping it with her every Saturday. So it's like, I don't necessarily think, they're the best of friends now. They're just not fighting as much.
Well, they're also flower arranging together.
Yeah, like we saw that in Hurricane Touchdown. Whether or not that's canon or not is to be.
Oh no, you're right. It's not canon.
But maybe she's more feminine now. But still, I don't think they've become best friends. I think they've become, healthy mother and daughter relationship. Shu says that during the battle with Vamdemon, he was away, but saw it on TV. Like he was away doing medical stuff. Like he was, I think he was working in another country or something. But he still saw it on TV. In the dub, Shu, which is called Jim, says that he was right in the middle of the battle in Tokyo because, Jim was in the original. He says, my brother Jim was there with Joe.
No, they're the same person.
Yeah, but in the dub, they're the same person. And
have you ever seen them in the same room together? Of course you haven't.
CJ didn't really pick this up, but I just thought that it was a really glaring problem. And we see later on when, we meet both the brothers.
I was much too focused on, the dad being yeah, they're friends now, but my credit card suffered. Yeah,
because, girls, they love to shop. And what annoys me is...
You sound like a terrible dad.
Okay, I'm going to point out why I find that really annoying and borderline sexist. Actually, it is sexist. Okay. It's very
Commit
sexist.
To it. Yep.
Okay, the mum is I don't know what it's called, but it's like a really professional flower arranging. Yep. It's a really high-paid job and really respected. Really respected. And, you get money, lots of money for it.
Yep.
She would have her own credit card. She would be paying her own bills.
My answer to you is, but you know women, right?
Yeah. So the dub is just making this as instead of she's using her own money. She's using her husband's money, but she doesn't need to because she's a well-respected woman and...
We don't need no man.
And I think that she would be supporting herself and she would... You'd be using her own money. Also, people don't use credit cards that much in Japan. They're a very cash-oriented country, and that's why they didn't fall as hard in the recession because they use cash money.
Cash money. I wouldn't know that. It's interesting.
Well, that's just what my parents always said. They said, "Oh yeah, that's why the yen's doing so well because they don't There's always a surcharge whenever you go somewhere in Japan and want to spend money on your card, and there's a very high surcharge because everybody uses cash money, and you can shops just it's common just not to have a card reader at the shop. You have to go to an ATM. But yeah, I just find that part very sexist because she is a very high respected lady, and I'm sure would have her own money, and it just annoys me. And I know that her job doesn't translate, but in the dub, I think they still made her an owner of a flower shop.
Yeah,
and you would still have money.
She should be fine.
She should be have enough money to have her own credit card and pay her own bills instead of using her husband who doesn't live with them. His credit card. It's just, why can't we just have women who are able to... It's fine to go shop. Yes, I know shopping is a very feminine thing, but it's fine to go shopping. I go shopping with my mum.
You know what else?
It's good bonding.
I bet she can't cook.
Oh my god. Also, why does the dub do that?
So Shu goes on, master of ghosts and goblins that he is, goes on to explain a lot of Japanese folklore.
Well, Sora's dad does,
they
not
both...
Shu.
I can't tell the difference.
Because Sora's dad is the professor of folklore.
Yeah, so he goes on to discuss a lot of Japanese folklore, which I didn't think would make it into the English, but it does. And it's about, the different gates of Kyoto and demons and yokai.
Which is a real thing. They're not just making it up for Digimon.
Yeah, it's cool.
It's totally a real thing.
It is totally irrelevant, though.
But I still like that they're giving this cultural feel, and the dub doesn't remove it. You'd expect the dub to just say, oh yeah, it's like Digimon and stuff. Yeah, totally. Instead, they don't take it word for word, but they kind of dumb it down, but not enough that it's completely different. They might simplify a few words, but it's actually not that badly done. It's just simplified, and that's fine. That's what all the changes should be.
And we're pretty surprised about that, apparently.
I think all the changes should be like that. I think they should. I could be wrong here because I'm not 100% familiar with this, the cultural story. But I think the dub did do a good justice of explaining it, and it didn't feel empty. It just felt simplified.
It must be really weird living in a city that has a cultural heritage like that. Our cultural heritage is A, criminals, and B, we might have been called Batmania.
Yeah, oh, totally. Yeah, that's cool. I want to be called Batmania.
Why don't we be called Batmania? That's also, so much cooler.
Also, lots of racism.
Yes, lots of racism.
Lots of racism. Say something...
Japan's not free of that, though.
Yeah, say something Australian.
Mate.
Racism.
That's fair. Mate.
Oh, we are a sad, sad country.
Yeah. Eventually, a samurai shows up.
Oh, also, there's a bit about yokais, and I just want to address that the dub seems to think that Digimon are yokais, instead of Sora's dad just saying, oh yeah, yokais, I guess they're kind of like Digimon in a way, but they just, they possess objects and stuff like that, but the dub just says they are straight up yokais, by the way. Also, I'm pretty sure this is what made me pick up Yokai Watch again. Also, I really like the umbrella yokai. But yeah, Monsieur Mon shows up.
So a samurai shows up, and this is what I was talking about earlier in the show, where you should really just always evolve to your final form immediately, because we have Hawkmon get out of the car, well, Poromon evolves to Hawkmon, gets out of the car, and throws his whatever Beak Buster at it. And just does
Feather
nothing.
Slash.
Beak Buster. And just does nothing.
How's it a Beak Buster? It's from its feather.
Hawk Walk. And it doesn't do anything. So then he has to armor evolve, which I thought was really weird. But I get it because of, like, the setting. You wanted a ninja versus a samurai, which is cute. But, like, why would you ever armor evolve when whatever it's called?
Aquilamon.
Aquilamon is better.
Or, as Yoli says it, Aquilamon!
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 Yeah, so that's just a better Digimon. Why wouldn't you transform into that instead? I don't know. It's not like there are Dark Towers around.
I would like to point out that for some reason, for the longest time, between like watching this for the first time as a kid and rewatching it as an adult, it kind of this episode merged together with Big Trouble in Little Edo.
I can see why.
Because the good part of it, because I found that episode pretty average episode, but the good part of that was very much like this part, the part of the episode with the ninja fight.
So the ninja fights a samurai for a little while, and then all of a sudden they find a river, and a portal opens in the river, and Stingmon shows up. That's this one. That's this fight.
It happens earlier on, doesn't it?
No, you're right. Sorry, no, wait, hold on.
Did that happen
No,
earlier?
because he delivers Poromon then. I've got it backwards.
That was like the start of the episode.
No, they go to... They knock into a river. Not a river, a lake. And then Yoli's like, do you have a laptop? And he's like, yeah, I guess. Now open it. And I'm thinking to myself, if that laptop crashes right now, everyone dies.
And then they have to re-record their podcast.
Because this time at least, you know what? It wasn't the program, it was your laptop.
It was my Mac.
So they just suplex the samurai back into the digital world through the laptop. I feel stupid for forgetting what all the things happen in.
It's okay, things happen.
No, but yeah.
It's been a long night. We've been recording basically for 4 hours. We started at like a bit before 7, I think, and now it's almost 11.
Yeah.
So, well done us. And you watched all the episodes today, so you've just...
I did. My day's been Digimon, like, chock-a-block.
See, I watched it during the week after exercising. I'm so buff right now. I'm just like, yeah, swole.
So it cuts back to the digital world, and what's her name?
Angstamon comes back.
Angstamon is still there and just heading out to destroy more holy points because he likes that. And Arukemon specifies, there's 5 left. She says it out loud so the kids know.
Yep.
If I was her, I would have said there's 2 left.
No, there's 1 left.
No, it doesn't matter how many you say. Just, you say there's a number way lower than the actual amount, so that you fight over 2 of them, and then the kids think they've lost.
Or, here's an idea. Times are synced. Kids sleep.
Oh yeah, but they don't know that. That's
Destroy them
stupid.
during the night.
Yeah, the kids really should have, like, said something about how they're going to patrol and make sure that it doesn't happen, because, like, they are really vulnerable the way that this has gone. Let's see. Yeah, so Miyako gets delivered back to her school group, and she's holding Poromon. Everyone's like, what's that? She goes, it's like a souvenir. And so her friends, being great friends, and as all friends do when someone says they've got a souvenir, take it out of her hands and try to rip it in half.
Yeah. But that part was also oddly reminiscent of when they go back to the real world in the first season, and they're just like, with their toys, we found them, we're going to give them to Ty's sister.
That's a lot of toys.
Yeah, she's a lucky girl. But she only got a cat.
How sad.
What do you think of this episode as someone who is new to Digimon?
I actually quite like this episode, to be honest with you.
Me too.
There's a lot of weirdness to it that doesn't make any sense. All the stuff in the digital world is boring, and I didn't care about it whatsoever. But all of it in the real world was pretty interesting. I don't think that discussion of ghosts and goblins in Kyoto was relevant, particularly, because any theory that the demons of Kyoto are like Digimon makes no sense, because Digimon only existed when the computer systems began to exist, when the digital world existed. So they're at most 50 years old, and it couldn't have been around the time they built their demon gates. But it is interesting as a theory in a general sense, and at least comparing them in a general sense to your yokai history and spirits and stuff. Also, they sometimes become ghosts, so that's a thing. I always like seeing family members of the characters because I think they're cool.
And these are two family members we haven't previously met.
Well, no, one of them we have in English.
Oh my god.
Okay. Yeah, I think this was... And I like the conversation that Ken and Izzy have at the beginning, except in English when Izzy is both, like, hugely up himself, and as much as I hate Davis, that's my thing. He's a kid who's meant to be friends with him. He's not meant to do that. I'm meant to do that.
I'm really enjoying how we're getting a lot of Miyako-focused episodes.
Yeah, it would have been really good if we built up a character, 20 episodes ago.
But I'm glad that it's better to have it late than never, but, it would be nice to have it earlier on, because Miyako is my favourite character. I love her. And, I love Mimi as well, because I have a lot of problems that Mimi and Miyako both have, and it's nice to see characters who have the same problems as me, because it makes me feel, I guess, fine.
My favourite character is the creeping certainty of death.
Jesus. What did you think about this episode compared to what you said in Obnoxious Synopsis?
I said it would be a comedy episode, and that is not necessarily true, actually. It's fairly serious, in fact. I said there'd be Digimon in the real world. That was totally correct. Aruken and Mamimon were in the real world. That's wrong. It was just an accident of distortion, which is weird, because I always kind of considered the distortion to be specifically to the Dark Ocean, but it just means somewhere else. Miyako would be the focus. Of course. You try to psych me out, like, oh, what if it's not? Her name's in the title. And then I said it'd be a good episode, though I don't like her, and especially because it might be comedy, etc. I hoped at the time it would make me like Miyako more, and I'm not sure it has. Maybe a little bit, because you get exposed to her in a situation where she's not a huge moron. But I don't feel like she did anything spectacular. She was brave. That's good. I liked that.
She put the Digimon back in the digital world through the gate.
Yeah.
Which is the first time I've seen that. It's the first time I've really seen the Digimon in the real world.
Yeah.
A bad Digimon. Like opponent Digimon.
Punching them back through into the digital world. They always just kill them. And
what did you think of the changes, and do you think they were justified?
Again, Izzy was an ass. Izzy was so much meaner, and it's so weird coming from him, because he doesn't seem like the type to make those judgments. Everyone else is, I could see that, but him, as well, he should be, like, objective. Sorry, I can't get over the line. If my calculations are correct, it's all your fault. Also, he says, I'm not sure if Davis has a conscious mind. Like, really? Like, it's vicious.
That's very harsh.
I guess I don't really understand why Angstmon's suffering will come to an end if he destroys all the Destiny Stones. It's just there's so much stuff going on right now that they refuse to explain, and it's not like it's a fun mystery that I'm following. It's just like everyone knows the answers and won't say it to the audience. I guess we're missing a brother. I didn't notice it, to be honest with you. You noticed it, but that's a kind of a big deal because to me, they're were they ever in the same room together? Apparently, they are later, so I am told. And there's a bit. I don't think it's even a change. It's something I hate. Is right at the end of the episode, all the kids are sitting next to each other, and they say one sentence, and they just go down the line of kids and just complete the sentence of like, "Oh, we must defeat the bad guys," and then in English, the last one is Ken thinking. So I think it's really stupid. Yeah, there's not a lot. The biggest one I thought it would be was the Japanese folklore, and they kept it. They kept it pretty much exactly as.
Yeah, well, they simplified it, which is fair enough.
Well, yeah.
Did you give the episode a rating? I can't remember because I think you gave an 8 out of 10 in your predictions.
This is a solid 7.
I gave it an 8.
Yeah, I know you're very generous.
I really like Miyako.
Yeah, I thought it was dragged down by the weirdness in the digital world that was completely pointless.
Yeah, but it was it was like the main fight, like quotation marks main fight was in the not really a main point.
Yeah, but even then, like at the end of the day, what was accomplished?
Well, the information wasn't in. We don't think it's relevant at the moment.
Yes.
Whether or not it becomes relevant, we don't know.
But at the end of the day, what was accomplished?
Miyako was the main character for once.
Great. That helps the plot.
She stole Mimi's friends and made them younger.
She de-aged them. It's really impressive. Alternatively, they were held down 2 years. Or they're vampires. I'm going with that one.
The Digimon that were introduced in this episode, Nightmon, 8mon, and Musiamon, what do you think about them?
Nightmon is fine. He's a knight. He's one of those like weird Digimon things where you're like, that's what it looks like. It's just what it is. Just name a thing, add mon, and then you got one.
Did you notice that he has the crest of hope on him?
I didn't.
He crest of hope on him.
So that's... I mean, it's meaningless because he's a Black Tower Digimon, but so he must be one of the evolutions possible for Gardevoir at some stage for some line.
You mean Patamon?
Hope. Yes, Patamon.
Actually, we don't know. He just has the crest of hope on him.
It's just a mystery. Sweet.
It's like how King Adamon has the crest of courage on him.
Yeah, on his belt.
It's just something that happens.
So the other ones were...
Eightmon or Hanumon.
It's really cute.
I really like
You
him.
thought it was cute. I didn't think so. It's just a Yeti.
Well, he's cute with his actions.
It looks exactly like a Yeti from Warhammer Fantasy from Ogre Kingdoms.
You're a nerd.
If you look up a Yeti from them, it's precise. Like, they're the same thing. And what was the other one?
It's around the screen. Musyamon, which is the samurai.
Oh, it's a big samurai. This is an episode where, like, the three Digimon introduced were, like, very direct. There's nothing special about
I like the flavour of him because he doesn't look too Digimon-y. He looks very... I don't know, I really like how he looks. I just...
You could make a mecha samurai in real life. Alright everyone, join us for the next episode of Sunday Without God, Destiny in Doubt.
Or Defend the Holy Point.
And Cody Takes a Stand.
Or Explosive Rampage, Black War Greymon.
Rampage!
Go away. The show notes will be linked in the description, and thanks to our Patreon supporters, Stevie Patamon, who you can follow on Twitter, Wu Qinglong, who has a Twitch stream, which is WUQINGLONG, and at the moment they are playing through Next Order, and they're doing a live translation of them. I'm not sure how far he's been through it, because I've been at work and haven't been actually sadly able to watch. I want to, but work is happening. Metal Mamimon, Joe, Penguin Mage, Anime Guy, who has a YouTube channel, Anime Guy Kurosaki 1, Chuckmon, Sam Krieger, Ishpul Banba, Hiro Alato, and Jason Morosky. Thanks for listening, guys, and hopefully we weren't too tired at the start because we were just saying it for the second time. And hopefully one day we'll go a few weeks without having to re-record a podcast. But yeah, thanks for listening. Have a wonderful week, and if you guys celebrate Easter, enjoy that too. So during editing, I realised that we forgot to mention and set up a poll, so it's linked in the description, and you can vote on who you prefer as Tailmon's fully evolved form, Holydramon or Afanimon. See you guys next week.
Bye!